Hey, happy Thursday. It's good to see you. Good to be seen. And I'm a little late. Got caught up in a bunch of stuff this morning with people calling me after last night's Bible study and working on making some food orders. So here I am. Here we are. It is Thursday, May. What day it is? What day is it? I don't even know. Was it the 15th? Maybe? 14th, okay. So, in a conversation that I had this morning about the future of the church going forward, on my Bible study broadcast last night, I shared with my congregation some concerns that I have about us reconvening, and that I would be asking for their input about when we might come back together, when people might feel safe to come back together. What might it look like? Taking temperatures, everybody wearing face masks, sitting 6 feet apart, sanitizing before and after someone goes into the restroom. I mean, it just seems like a lot. And so just talking about, what it meant. And then someone said to me, well, I believe this is a satanic attack against the church. And I can understand why people might say that. And, we know that Satan is the small g god of this world, right? This world system. And he has been unleashed against the world and, of course, against God's people. And only against God's people because he hates God, and we represent God as being his people. But what my response to that was, well, let's not forget that God is ultimately in control of everything, and that Satan can't do anything without God's permission. We see this throughout Scripture, particularly in the book of Job. Job not Job, but Satan or Lucifer or the Satan is visiting this angelic council in heaven, and he's there. Don't know why. I don't fully understand the access that Satan has into the presence of God, but that's for another time, another theological debate. Nevertheless, God brings up Job to Satan, and Satan declares, well, you have built a hedge of protection around him, which is why I can't harm him. But if you remove that protection, he will curse you. He will deny you. And so God allows Satan to bring sickness and death and destruction to Job and his family. So when we think about this whole coronavirus pandemic, we have to acknowledge that at the very least, God was aware and God allowed. So how does that pertain to the church? God has allowed the church to go up under this attack that's been levied by the enemy. And so the question that was kind of raised is God trying to destroy the church? We can't meet, Well, that brought me to a passage of Scripture. And it's one that we're very, very familiar with. You've heard it. You very no doubt have quoted it even during this time. And so let me share this with you. So in Matthew chapter 16, Jesus is in Caesarea Philippi. He's having a conversation. He's talking to his disciples, and he asked his disciples in the 16th verse, who do people say that I am, or that the Son of Man is? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said to them, but who do you say that I am. Remember, the focus and the emphasis is on their declaration on who Christ is. Who do you say that I am? Simon Peter, our good friend Simon Peter, speaks up and says, you are the Christ. That's God's chosen, God's appointed Redeemer, right? You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And in that statement, which is pregnant with theology, but essentially Peter's saying, you're God, right? And I don't want to get in a full theological debate to those who may question the deity of Christ, but let me just say, I believe Scripture supports the fact that Jesus is 100% man, 100% human, and he was 100% deity. He was 100% God. While on earth, he suspended or surrendered his independent ability to act as God while on earth. However, we see him doing only God things. We see him performing signs and miracles that only God can do, i.e. raising the dead, right? So Peter makes this declaration, and he says, and Jesus answered, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you. Well, this did not come by human means or by human intellect, but my Father who is in heaven. Here Jesus co-equal to the Father, coexistence, consubstantial with the Father in essence. This is a statement that Jesus makes. And he says, and Peter, I tell you, you are Peter, Petra, the small stone, Petros. And on this rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. What is the rock that Jesus is speaking to? Well, he's speaking to, again, the focus is in the declaration. He's speaking to Peter's declaration of who Christ is. And so the New Testament is making it abundantly clear that Christ is both the foundation and the head of the what? Church. Now, in our Western thinking, we think church as the place we go to meet. That's not the church. That's the building where the church, the ecclesia, where the church gathers to be exhorted, to be encouraged, to praise and worship God. But the church are the people of God. And so the statement that Peter makes is a huge boulder. Christ is kind of making a play on words. Petros, small stone, you have made a bolder statement. And on that boulder-like statement, I will build my church on the very truth that I am the Christ, the Son of the living God. I am the Redeemer. I am the Messiah. I gather, I call out of darkness those who I have elected to be mine, and I will build my church, and Satan will not prevail. So in light of that, in our current context, even if the church buildings are unoccupied, the church has not ceased to exist. You remember what Paul says to Timothy about the gospel? Paul tells Timothy, he says, listen, I may be in chains. Well, when Paul was in the Roman prison, he says, I may be in chains, but the gospel is not. We may not be able to meet in our building, but the gospel can still go forth and the church continues to exist. So please do not get confused when we talk about the church that you think we're talking about First Baptist Church or Calvary of Covina or whatever. Forget that. We're talking about the people of God, the called out ones who have been called to declare the mercies, the praises of him who called us out of darkness. And so the gates of hell will never prevail against those who have been called out, against those who make up the church Satan will not win. Even if we never get to go back into a church building. Because remember, churches, buildings, they cease to exist. Churches have, every year, hundreds of churches close down. Where are the 7 churches of Revelation? Can you go visit the church of Sardis or Smyrna or Philadelphia or Ephesus or Laodicea? Can you visit any of those churches? No, because they don't exist. But the church exists. And so this is, I want you to be encouraged today. And I'm having a conversation with my congregation about what do we do when we're allowed to begin meeting again. I'm curious as to what you think. You think social distancing at church, wearing masks, taking temperature, sanitizing everywhere before and after, so that we can be together? I'm curious as to your thoughts. Please share. I'll be posting this to my Facebook page, to the church page, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, New Birth Church Marietta. Please go there and subscribe. Hey, God bless you. Apologize for being too long, but this is what I've been looking at this morning in my devotion. God bless you. See you soon.